Ow! Whew. Red team! Go! My amp unit! Wake up! Get up! And get amplified! They say America runs on Duncan. Well, I don't know about that. But for BC Amplified this morning, today, you can bet your ass the Amplified man is running on Dunkin' Donut coffee. That I assure you. We gotta talk about the modern day Maharaja in just a little bit. Now, I like Jinder Mahal. You guys know this. But what I'm about to tell you, a lot of you might not like this news. It's not a definite, but it's definitely on the table in just a few nights. For the old man in Stamford, Connecticut. We're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about Alexa Bliss's transformation and the numbers that she is bringing in recently. We also got some super chats that I missed in yesterday's live stream. Oh, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about it now. Ow, yeah! Shout out to Stacy from Duncan for kicking ass on this double shot light and sweet. It's got a kick, baby! Now, I want to say thank you. Before we talk any business, we got to say thank you to the 250 plus that have purchased the Think Be Live Amplified Amp Unit hoodies, baby. This son of a bitch just surpassed 250 in sales. I am so proud of that because I love this product, man. It's one of my favorites. Down below, you see the t-shirts, you see the hoodie below this video. You click on one, it takes you right to the Teespring store. And this hoodie is, I just love it, man. I wear this a couple of times a week because I love it. I'm not just trying to promote myself. I love this hoodie. And it doesn't just keep you warm during the winter. You can wear this son of a bitch in the fall, in the spring, and it's not too thick or bulky or confining. It's still thin enough. You can work out in this and be fine. You can wear this on a brisk fall day and it's going to keep you warm and not confining. I just love everything, the material, everything about this, man. And it went into the planning of it. I have full control of the material, the premium quality, but you still don't know what you're really going to get until I get those first initial hoodies, you know, before they actually go for sale. I get the first drafts, if you will, and I didn't even have to do a second. I literally sent the note back saying, let's go, we're ready. I mean, that's how much I love this, and I'm glad that you guys do too, man. Over 250. If it seems like I'm raising more of a hoopla than I did when we sold over 200, it's because 250 to me is a more bulky number. I have OCD, unfortunately. I don't wish that upon anybody because that means I have to walk certain ways sometimes. I have to double step. I have to take a few steps back to walk the same area that I just walked because of this thing called OCD. I have to touch things a certain way. I have to shut things a certain way. The fridge, sometimes I'll have to shut the fridge 3 fucking times, 5 times if I don't feel that it's right. It's called OCD and it can suck. I have to do certain things, like dates. If a date doesn't feel right to me, I have to switch the date to a number that feels right. It's weird. If you guys ever catch my live streams, when I schedule them, I only schedule them within a half an hour before the stream or an hour. But if you notice, I always start at like 15 or 25, 11:35, 11:45, 12:15. It always has to end in like a 5. To me, that time-wise it's just better. I can't do it on the hour or on the half an hour. Again, that's something called OCD. It's something I've lived with for a while. And, you know, you just learn to live with it, man. I don't wish it upon anybody because it does suck. It does alter your life, but such is life, man. Things could be worse. So, anyway, that's why 250 to me. I didn't make a big hoopla out of 200. We didn't throw the fucking parade balloons out. But for 250, that just seems like an awesome, bulky number. I want to thank you guys so much. For 250 plus. We're actually over 250, but this is the first time that I'm getting word of this from the fine people at Teespring informing me of this, and I just think that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I know a couple of you guys actually purchased one, and then other ones for the ones you love. That's awesome, man. You know, when you can have a repeat customer, pretty fucking cool. That shows me that I'm doing something right on the store. So I just want to thank you guys, the 250 plus that have already purchased it and those that will in the future. That really means a lot to me, man. That's something that I really took some time in creating, and yeah, fucking awesome, man. 250 plus. Now, before we get into the first topic at hand, a few super chats that I did miss. Mr. Charles Grin had a 2-spot, man, toward BC's coffee. Mr. Charles Grin, I appreciate it. Sorry I missed this yesterday, or at least I believe I missed it. Mr. Charles Grin wrote, best review on the tube, period. Much love, BC. Right back at you, Mr. Charles Grin. I appreciate that. And I strive every single time I put out content to be the very best. Now, I know there's people out there with a larger audience. Maybe they started this son of a bitch way in advance, maybe years before BC did. And maybe they did things the right way in those initial years, and they got a big subscriber audience. They got big views. Awesome for them. Really, no hate at all. That's awesome. But there is not one time that I put out content where, truthfully, I feel like I'm in second place. Every single time I put out a video or a live stream, a podcast, I literally afterwards feel like that was the best in all of the community. I strive every single time I put out content. No matter what the numbers say, I strive every time to feel complete after I put out content. I need to know that I am number one, or else the video does not go up, or else I will never do another live stream. And every single time I put out content, I truthfully feel we're number fucking one. Absolutely I do. And it's not just BC, it's the unit that speaks up, stands up, and speaks out loudly. And together we form the AMP unit, and we are number one in the wrestling community. We just are. You feel the electricity during the live streams. You feel the passion and the amplifications during the regular videos and podcasts. That's unmatched in the community. And that's pretty fucking cool. So Mr. Charles Grin, to get that feedback, fucking badass, man. But trust me, BC already knows. But it's always good to hear that, man. Blitzball Champ with a 5-spot coffee. Blitzball Champ in yesterday's stream said, all-time favorite pro wrestling rivalry, Sting versus the Great Muta. Blitzball Champ. I remember, I think it was 1991. It was called the WCW NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling Super Show. And I believe it was Sting versus Great Muta. And that was one of those matches where I just sat back in my seat, man. I was so young, but I sat back in my seat and I was like, yup, I love this shit. And it was one of the first occasions where I was like, there's life beyond Vince McMahon's wrestling. It was one of the, because I was young, but it was one of those first opportunities where I said, it's not all just about WWF. I was watching Sting and the Great Muta, and I was like, this is awesome, before the chant was even a thing. So yeah, I agree, Blitzball Chant, man. Sting and Great Muta, what a combination. Now, hold on, we got a couple more here. We got Triple J 82882 with a 2-spot toward a BC coffee. And Triple J says, Taker with the Ministry and the American Badass first look. Now, Triple J 82882 is talking about something we were discussing in the live stream yesterday, about how characters matter. And when you switch and you tweak and you change your character, you completely change every aspect and aura about you. Where some people go, oh, it's the same person with the same moves. No, it's a world of difference. And as Triple J 82882 explains, Undertaker, when he was with WCW, he was Mean Mark Calloway. He wasn't going to be a superstar, no matter how much WCW pushed him. If he went to WWF at the time, and Vince McMahon pushed him as Mean Mark Calloway or Mean Mark Callis, he wasn't going to get anywhere. Not superstar larger than life status, but he turned into The Undertaker, and this guy completely owned it. He embodied it. He went all in with that character, and he became one of the most epic, iconic characters of all time because he changed who he was, his character. And as Triple J 82882 explains, the Ministry of Darkness or the American Badass, The Undertaker made tweaks within the Undertaker character. So within the confines of the Undertaker character, he tweaked it into even more characters. That's awesome, man, when you can do that. great example there. And Jesse Borsler also threw in a 5-spot coffee for BC. Jesse, in yesterday's stream, which I missed, I apologize. Jesse says, Rocky Maivia into The Rock. There is another great example. Rocky Maivia was getting nowhere. In fact, nobody wanted to see this dude in that ring. The chants I won't even go over. But Rocky sucks was only the beginning of the harsh chants. He turns into The Rock. The character was altered. If you smell, The Rock says, all of it was a different character. Rocky Maivia wasn't saying all that. But it's the same guy with the same moves. It's a world of difference, man. And we talked in yesterday's stream, in great examples, Triple J 82, 882, and Jesse Borsler. And we talked about Mick Foley, man. When you saw Mankind or Cactus Jack, you knew you were in for a brutal match. When you saw Dude Love, you knew you were going to get some punches and some kicks. A lot less harsh. A little bit more of a love fest. When you saw Dr. Isaac Yankum, you probably weren't enthralled. But when you saw Kane, when he first debuted, you were like, whoa, this is a monster. The Ringmaster, you talk about Rocky, right? Ringmaster was not turning heads. Stone Cold Steve Austin was blowing the roof off of arenas. Characters mean everything. If you have a bad or bland or boring or unattractive character that nobody can connect with or there's no captivation, your character isn't going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Your career's not going anywhere. And this brings me into, thank you for those supers, and thank you, I apologize that I missed them. Sometimes during the live streams, I can't get them all. I'll always try to get you in the very next vid, so thank you guys. And this takes us into Alexa Bliss and the character transformation. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, man. If this was just a couple years ago, a year ago, a little over 6 months ago, I did not care about seeing Alexa Bliss in that ring. To me, she was right underneath Charlotte Flair with people that I just... enough. There's so much talent. You had Ember Moon at one point. Now she's in NXT, and that's after over a year of an injury because she was chasing around R-Truth for the fucking... She was part of the catering crusaders, I call them. Chasing around R-Truth for the fucking toy belt. And then she breaks her leg. But you had Ember Moon at one point. You have Asuka. You had Sasha. You had Naomi at one point. Can't wait for her to come back. You had all this talent, and they just wanted to showcase either Charlotte or Alexa. And I had enough. And that's not even shade to Alexa, and Alexa has a great fan base. I was just done. And all of a sudden, now she's aligned with Bray with this character that is captivating. And within the last several months, I not only can put up with Alexa, I became a fucking fan of Alexa Bliss. There was a moment this past Monday, and you guys know how much I love Asuka, and how much I defend her, and how much I hate her booking. Even with the championship, Asuka cannot get anything in this company. Asuka has not even defended that title before this past Monday. It's been months. Months. She has been holding the hand of Lana, and then holding the hand of Charlotte in a tag team to try to pump up Vince's blonde bombshell brigade. But Asuka, even with a title, gets no booking, no storyline. But there was a moment Monday during that main event where I was like, I'm actually okay with Alexa getting this championship because it helps everybody out. This is the most relevant Asuka has been in months, even with a title. This is the only storyline Asuka has had, is with Alexa. So whether she wins this match or loses the title, it's clear it's going to continue. And then you could even make Asuka Kana, a darker side of Asuka. It doesn't have to be all the time. It could be her alter ego. If you don't know who Kana is, I'm not going to go over it. We've already talked about it last week. But you could do so much with this storyline. This can last a couple more months. But here's BC, who had enough. I didn't even want to see Alexa in the ring just 6 months ago. And here I am now. I'm okay with her not only winning the title, but I want to see more of Alexa. Her segments are not only captivating, but the numbers are there. People are interested in what Alexa Bliss is doing. And you ain't got to just take my word for it. I want to show you guys some stuff, and I want to start off with just the ratings this week. Now, Raw was down a little this week from last week, and for good reason. Monday Night Raw sucked this week. Now, you can have a difference of opinion. You can think otherwise. That's fine. But I have the proof. The ratings were down from last week. No real competition. Nothing big in the news world. No Monday Night Football. It was just down. Because it sucked. People were tuned out of it. But one segment, the third hour, which always goes down, right? That's how ratings usually work with pro wrestling especially, right? The jump, that 8 o'clock hour, you get the most people. And then you have people that either have to work the next day or go to school or both, or they have prior commitments and errands to run. So they have to go to bed anytime between 8 and 11. So people start, the second hour goes down a little bit more, and the third hour, unfortunately, drops even more. Now, if you do things right and you captivate your audience, it won't drop that much because people will need to tune into that main event. I want to show you guys something, and I actually want to put it up on the screen just so you can get hopefully I don't confuse people with numbers. There's a lot of numbers right here, but I want to show you what I mean about Alexa and Asuka bringing in some interest. They beat themselves this week. Last week, they were in that main event spot, and this week would tell a lot, right? Did people have enough of what they saw last week? Because you're getting it again this week only for the title. So are they going to tune in? Are more people going to tune in? Or did people say, all right, that's enough and tune out? Check this out. All right, so again, this week's show did take a dip from last week because this week's show just sucked. Not just for a go-home show to a big pay-per-view, but for any week, this show was atrocious. It just was, man. If not for Alexa and Asuka, it was a total shit show. But you see that this week's hour number 1 scored a 1.904. Now, last week's hour 1 was a 1.991. So hour 1 this week went down from last week. The second hour drew 1.838. Last week, it was a 1.875 for hour number 2. So again, this week it went down. Now you look at the final hour. This week, a 1.716. Last week, a 1.697. So hour number 3 actually went up this week, which was the title match with Asuka and Alexa. Now keep in mind, they beat themselves from last week. So they said, okay, we're going to give you the same match in the main event this week. We're going to put the title on the line, and we're going to see if this is working. If people hear about this, they're going to tune out in droves. If it interests them, if it does captivate them, not only will we get that same audience, maybe we'll get a bump. Now, it may be a small bump, but when you're talking about a bad show from top to bottom, this is a pretty good sign that people care about this. And I'll take it a step further. You look at their YouTube numbers that they're pulling in. This was last week, guys. Asuka versus Alexa Bliss from Raw January 18th pulled in 2 million plus so far on the tube. Every other video was in the hundreds, thousands. 268,000 for McIntyre's big announcement. Jeff Hardy and Jackson Ryker couldn't even hit 400,000. But Asuka and Alexa last week over 2 million. And you look at this week. Asuka versus Alexa Bliss for the title is currently over 3.4 million views. Nobody, no other video is even close. Look at Edge right below. Edge declaring his big entry into the Rumble. That is just over 500,000. 3.4 and counting million for Asuka and Alexa. Yeah, people have taken notice. And with the tube, that's 3 different categories, right? You have the people that watched it live, and then they went back onto the tube and watched it yet again. Then you have those that just heard about it, so they had to go to the tube and check it out. And then you have those that's just how they watch their pro wrestling these days. They just watch some YouTube clips, and they go through every single video, and they decide what they want to watch. No matter what category you fall in, Asuka and Alexa pulled in the numbers. So you see, it's not just the third hour, which is telling in itself, right? That the third hour this week went up from the third hour last week, showing you that people are actually interested. It didn't drive people away. People are actually interested in this. But also, those YouTube numbers are phenomenal, man. When you look at WWE's videos that they upload, all of them, I mean, you have 100,000 views here for one video. You have 250,000 here, 750,000 here, 350,000 here. back to 150,000 here, maybe 1 million over here. But then you see Alexa Bliss or Asuka and Randy Orton, and those vids are pulling in 2.5 plus million. I mean, that's telling you. That's telling you how important characters are in pro wrestling. You're going to have people that are going to just say, oh, it's the same person with the same moves. The demon is still Finn Balor. Okay, but Finn Balor doesn't crawl to the ring. Finn Balor isn't as methodical. Finn Balor doesn't have all the movements and motions that the demon, it's different. He doesn't have the face paint. He doesn't have... You can't win with certain people, man. The Fiend is not the Wyatt family Bray Wyatt. It's two different characters. And I can go on and on, as we already did with The Undertaker and Steve Austin, The Rock, man. You got to tweak yourself, and that's how you're going to captivate people. And it just shows you, you know, for the people that say, oh, characters don't matter, or the people that claim they don't like Supernatural, right? Oh, this is too much for me. And I always say, then you would not have liked Papa Shango and the Voodoo back in the 90s. You would not have liked The Undertaker the past several decades with the lightning and all of the shit that he did. He'll be in a casket, and then the next minute, the casket is smoking, and he's up on the fucking Tron. You know, then you would have hated The Undertaker's whole career. And I just don't jive with that. If you don't like Papa Shango, if you didn't like The Undertaker, if you don't like Bray Wyatt now, this is probably not the channel for you. Pro wrestling at its core is a television show. I hate to break that to you. Some people fail to realize that WWE pro wrestling is not actual combat. People like to break down pro wrestling like it's an MMA fight or a boxing contest. No, it's pro wrestling, bro. It's predetermined combat. I'll never use the word F, that F word, when talking about pro wrestling because I respect the wrestlers too much. And it's not. Pro wrestling is one of a kind, so it can't be that F word. There's nothing like pro wrestling, so it's very real. But when people just want to see two dudes in their trunks go for a half an hour and do as many flips and dives as they possibly can, not a lot of selling, not a lot of in-ring psychology, no real good story, and no characters. Two dudes, black trunks. We're gonna watch a wrestling. I miss wrestling matches. I don't... Then you don't know what wrestling was founded upon then. Wrestling was always based on characters, larger than life. Supernatural has been a part of pro wrestling. It just has. The past 3 decades plus that I've been on this fucking earth, it has been. And that's what made me fall in love with it, and most of you. But now all of a sudden, it's no longer justified. It's a television show. And you have to realize that, man. You're going to have to at some point. You're going to have to, like, if you're not truthful with yourself over what pro wrestling is, if you honestly, I mean, you right, when AEW first started up and everyone's like, wins and losses are going to matter. Well, that's a good thing. Because in WWE, for instance, everybody is 50-50 booked into irrelevancy. So I'm glad that they're keeping track. But that doesn't mean we needed to keep a ranking system. Because it's phony. He's number 1, and this person's number 5, and this person is 9. How is he number 9? And then the women, and some people might find those brackets fun. But I'm looking at it as meaningless. What are you talking about? It's all scripted and predetermined, and you're fucking putting somebody at number 1 and number 3 and number 7 and number 22. I don't need to see the wins and losses. I just need to feel like they're being booked properly. I need to know subconsciously, not just outright, that this is a winner and this is a loser. This is Barry Horowitz and this is Razor Ramon Scott Hall. This is the Brooklyn Brawler and this is Big Daddy Cool Diesel, Kevin Nash. Who's a winner? Who's a loser? But what happened along the line, somewhere down the line, within the last few years, too, I started to notice this, is a lot of fans started to take the entertainment out of it, and they just wanted it to be a combat system. But it's not. It's not, because it is predetermined. It is scripted. It is pre-planned. So you do these stupid tournaments that people enjoy. Either one whole night dedicated to a fucking tournament that was pre-planned and predetermined in about 2 minutes, and now I gotta watch a sham tournament as if this is the NFL playoffs, or Major League Baseball's playoffs, the NBA, or sometimes it's a multi-week tournament to get to a championship match. Or now you have these brackets where you have a phony number 1 and a 5 and a number 10 person. And we're doing this, why, man? Just go watch boxing or MMA if that's the case. You can't take the entertainment out of pro wrestling. It's based on characters. And it needs to be discussed because that's what we're seeing today. There's a portion of fans that want to get the entertainment out of it. Larger than life characters or supernatural characters. They're too good for that. They're too old for that, right? You'll hear things like, oh, that was fine when I was a kid, but not now. Well, then you just admitted you started watching as a kid. Now you're trying to deprive kids from getting into it. Why was it good for you, but not good for today's fucking 10, 12, 15-year-old kid? The Undertaker was fine when you were a kid, but these kids today can't get Bray Wyatt? And I seem to recall when The Undertaker came out, grown adults had their jaws dropped. Grown adults were talking about how awesome The Undertaker was. And I'm talking his debut at Survivor Series. What was that, 90? 89, 90? One of the two. Hartford, Connecticut. It was the year they were going to have the fucking gobbledygooker jump out of the fucking egg. Remember that? But grown-ups, if done correctly, it doesn't matter how old you are. If the character is captivating, you're going to be into it. One of my favorite shows is Stranger Things. It's all supernatural fucking wacky. It's wacky. It's off the wall. Beyond supernatural. There's a place called The Upside Down. It's on Netflix. It's called Stranger Things. That ain't just for fucking 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds. Grown-ups love that show. It ain't just BC. One of the highest rated shows on Netflix. I wonder why. Doesn't matter your age. If you're doing it correctly, everybody will be on board. But don't just sit there and say it was good when I was a kid, but not now. No, the world doesn't revolve around you. I know that's a harsh lesson and that's hard to hear, but the world does not revolve around you. We can, sometimes, it's the old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. We hope that there's enough good for us. We hope that the kids are also involved, man. We need the next generation of fans to come up. They deserve to have some fun too. This company doesn't usually put together something that we all can enjoy. This fucking Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton storyline, and now with Alexa Bliss and even with Asuka into the fold, especially if they do more with Asuka, I would love to see her turn into Kana, or a little portion of her at least. It's captivating. And my point in all this is, it's clear it's captivating. You can argue with BC all you want. The numbers are on BC's side. I just showed you just some of the numbers that are in YouTube and via the ratings. People are interested in this. You may not like it. That's tough shit. But pro wrestling is founded upon entertainment. And you're gonna have off the wall, even in some cases, ludicrous characters. Doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I'm loving this from Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton. And I know from the numbers, most of us are. If you're one of those that are not, I don't even know how this is a channel that you can enjoy because I love all that supernatural shit, if done correctly. If done right, Apollo can't just come out and have supernatural powers, for instance, right? The New Day just can't come out and start shooting off fucking lightning and dimming the lights and disappearing and winding up, starting in Tampa Bay and winding up in Los Angeles. No, I wouldn't believe that. I know it's a new day and they feel the power, but not that type of superpower. Certain characters, if the story is done correctly, I can not only believe, but I will fully invest into. It's clear that this is fucking working, and when it's all said and done, my whole point here is, good job, Alexa. Thank you, Bray Wyatt, because this is all from the mind of Rotunda. This is from him, these promos and helping Alexa's character evolve, because this is Bray Wyatt's baby. And nothing is going out there on air without him knowing about it, and probably, I'm guessing, most likely anyway, is from his dome piece. This is all his brainchild. So, awesome job by Bray. Awesome job by Alexa. It's great to see that people are into it. The numbers are showing that. And it goes to show you that if the rest of Raw was just even semi-good, the ratings could easily go back over 2.0, even 2.1. But the show was so bad Monday, there's no way that just Alexa and Asuka could carry that shit on their back 2 weeks back-to-back. You need to give them a little bit more of a run-in. But so far, they're keeping WWE RAW afloat. So they deserve a lot of fucking credit. But, yeah, character development. If there's one thing that I can tell any up-and-coming wrestler, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give, always work on your character. Always keep tweaking it. Always be true to it. Always go a full throttle, 120 miles an hour to the boards. Never let up. If you believe in the character, then your job is to make everybody else believe in it. And they're not going to do that if you're half-assing it, if you're not fully invested into it. If you're not all in, nobody else will be. Alexa Bliss chose to go all in. And it's so refreshing to see. Awesome job. So that's the main story here, guys. I want to talk some numbers that Alexa and Asuka have brought in this week. Pretty fucking cool to see. And we'll see where this ends up. Or just starts beginning at the Royal Rumble. You know they got something fucking up their sleeve for that. These people are not in matches. Maybe they'll be entered into the Royal Rumble. But you got to believe maybe we're going to see The Fiend return. You got to believe they have something with Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton planned this Sunday night. We'll see. Before I end this vid, I want to talk about the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. Now this, you guys know I like Jinder. I do. A lot of you might not like what I'm about to say. There is strong word right now going around WWE. This is from what I'm hearing. It is not definite. Relax. Which is not good, by the way. WWE doesn't even know right now. From what I'm hearing, this is confirmed. They don't know who they definitely have winning the Rumble. They have several options, obviously, with Daniel Bryan, who has basically set himself up to win. I mean, with his promo this past Friday, he already announced that it's the one thing he hasn't done in his career. They recently kept away Roman and Daniel Bryan, so he's on the table. Edge just announced that he's returning at the Rumble, so Edge is an option. Seth Rollins, we're hearing, could be a surprise entrant. Seth Rollins and Roman have history. We're also hearing there's a chance Brock Lesnar and somehow Goldberg gets into it. I know he's got a match with Drew McIntyre, but we're hearing somehow he gets into the Rumble and wins. We're hearing every option is on the table. But a huge possibility that I just heard about last night, Jinder Mahal could possibly win the Royal Rumble this Sunday. Vince McMahon has the modern day Maharaja on the table. And you guys are thinking that would make zero fucking sense. What they would go with, guys, I'm telling you right now, they would go with Mahal winning and then choosing Drew McIntyre. So that would mean McIntyre would beat Goldberg. Which would, I mean, that's a good thing. But then you're setting up one of your WrestleMania main events to be Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre. And you're wondering, why would they do that, BC? Listen, your guess is as good as mine. The only thing that I can think of is they think there's a story there because they were once members of 3MB. The group with Heath Slater. You guys remember that? And on top of that, the story with the two that can tell is that they both were fired. They both refined themselves, came back to WWE, and they both became world champions after being fired. So there's a lot of similarities. That's what Vince would go with. Now, Drew McIntyre has stated recently, within the month, that he thinks a Jinder Mahal-Drew McIntyre feud has to happen. He's totally down for it. But he also said that right now is not the time. So if Vince does that, that's against Drew McIntyre's will. Because McIntyre said, yes, that would be fun. There's a story there, and it makes sense, and it has to happen. But now is not the time. And this was just a month ago. So that would be totally Vince's decision, man. Drew would not have a say on it, because I know Drew would say, no, not now. But on top of that, you guys are wondering, no, BC, that's not enough to get Mahal winning this thing. That's not it. Unfortunately, they also are they're seeing the numbers go down, especially here in the States. Merchandise, ratings, And if they were in live events, the attendance would be, I bet you they would be less than half full in every arena. They know that. They know the numbers are going down, but they know the hot market is still India, right? They tried this a few years ago with Jinder. It pretty much fell flat, but for many reasons. It wasn't just Jinder. So now they're really trying it again. They just held a little mini special event, I believe yesterday morning, correct? It was almost like their old school super shows. It was titled something totally different, several hours, and a lot of talent from India rubbing shoulders with the talent on today's main roster. And they held this special event. Jinder Mahal actually returned during this event. Also, on top of that, they're really starting to kick in their India relationship by having a weekly show, which they kind of already were tweaking anyway, but now they're going to go full throttle with it in 2021. And on top of that, Triple H just recently did a conference call, and Triple H said he's got 10 talents from India right now that are ready to go on the main roster if need be. He said at least 10. So their presence in India is about to kick into high gear in 2021. A Jinder Mahal victory could absolutely catapult that relationship. I told you a lot of you might not like this news. It's not definite. Relax. I'm just saying from what I'm hearing, and this is a very reliable, I promise you guys, a very reliable source. He is one of the names on the table right now. Right? Some people may have joked about it. No, it's not a joke anymore. He's on the table. He's one of the 5. So, just don't be super shocked. You can be pissed off. You can love it if you like Jinder. Like, I like Jinder. I still don't think he should be winning the Rumble, but I like Jinder Mahal. And I'll watch Jinder and Drew have a feud in the future. But this, I agree with Drew. This is not the time. And this would be a botch by Vince McMahon. I truly believe this would be a botch by the old man in Stamford. But, and that's coming from somebody who likes Jinder Mahal, which is not a popular thing to say, I understand. But I like the modern day Maharaja. He's a great dude in real life. Met him a couple times. Great to shoot the shit with. You think you're just going to talk with him for a couple minutes. This guy will keep you there for 25 minutes. And you'll wind up talking about fucking football and nothing to do with wrestling. He's one of the dudes that I just love shooting the shit with. And just wrestling-wise, I love how he came back better than ever. He tweaked his style. Some people may pick on his wrestling, but you know what? We loved Sergeant Slaughter back in the day. Jinder Mahal is no fucking worse than Sergeant Slaughter, let's be honest. You can say Slaughter had a more of a character, of course, so he captivated you more. Absolutely, that's an argument. But when you pick on his wrestling, come on, man. It's absolutely drastically improved. But, yeah, this is a botch by Vince if he does do this. This is not the time to pull this. This is as stupid as seeing Charlotte win last year for no reason. She already had all the spotlight. Charlotte Flair had it all. There was no reason for her to take that moment, take that spot from somebody who really could have used it in last year's Rumble. But nope, there's Charlotte winning it so she could get a championship opportunity with Rhea Ripley. Just to have her in a title match. It was a waste. And I feel like even as a Jinder fan, this would be a waste. You guys tell me how you guys feel about it, man. I don't know. Maybe some of you are ecstatic about it. Maybe you're already, even though it's not official, maybe you're already putting your dome piece to a cement wall. Who knows? But anyway, this has been an impromptu vid. Half an hour, 45 minutes, something, whatever the fuck it is. I can't see the fucking time limit on it, but impromptu. Just wanted to shoot the shit with you guys. I had a full hour, so you guys know when I have free time, I always want to shoot the shit with you guys. So, thank you, especially for those that lasted all the way from minute 1 to the finale minute. We talked about a lot in this half an hour, 45 minute, whatever the fuck it was. And we'll see what they go with Alexa, Randy Orton, Asuka, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend in his return. We'll see what they do for the Rumble winner. Will it be Mahal? Will it be Rollins, Edge, Daniel Bryan? Somebody we don't even know, have already talked about. Is Brock coming back? Are they going to do Brock versus Roman again? This time the roles are reversed and Paul Heyman has to make a decision. We'll see. Think, be, live, amplified. Always. Thank you for the 250 plus that purchased the merch, the hoodie down below, man. That is fucking awesome. And I hope you guys are enjoying. I know you are, man. It's so comfortable. And until next time, that's it. That's all I got. Check you later.